Imagine for a moment that all you desire is already yours. Imagine stepping into a world where the longing, the hoping, the waiting is replaced by a quiet certainty that what you wish for is already a living reality. This is not about daydreaming or indulging in idle fantasies. It is about assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled so completely that the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match the state you have accepted within. Your senses may tell you otherwise. They may whisper stories of lack, of delays, of obstacles that seem insurmountable. But within you is a deeper sense, one untouched by appearances. It is the imagination, the divine faculty that shapes reality. When you dare to dwell in the state of already having, already being, already enjoying the fullness of what your heart seeks, you activate a law that is as precise and sure as gravity. To live as if you have everything means to close your eyes to the evidence of the senses and open them inward to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It means walking through your day clothed in the mood of answered prayer. You greet people, handle your affairs, perform your tasks, all from this inner conviction that your life is already rich, complete, abundant. There is no striving in this state, no anxious hoping or pleading. There is only a calm inner knowing. You begin to notice how your thoughts soften, how your words carry a gentle power. You speak not of problems, but of possibilities, not of waiting, but of possessing. Each time doubt tries to creep in, you gently return to the feeling of already having. You remind yourself that the outer world is only a mirror, faithfully reflecting the assumptions you hold most deeply. So you nurture within you the assumption that your desires are already facts. You water this assumption with your attention, feed it with your emotions, protect it from the weeds of fear and disbelief. Soon this inner world becomes more real to you than anything outside. You find yourself smiling for no apparent reason, your heart light, your mind serene. And then, without effort, changes begin to appear. New opportunities, unexpected contacts, fortunate turns of events, all begin to flow into your life. Drawn by the magnet of your inner state, you realize that it was never about forcing the world to give you what you wanted, but about preparing yourself to receive what was already yours in the unseen. Living as if you have everything is the great secret. It is the quiet art of feeling rich before the money arrives, of feeling loved before the partner comes, of feeling healthy before the body shows it. You do not wait for the outer world to prove your belief. You prove your belief by embodying it now. You carry yourself with the grace and confidence of one who knows they are already blessed, already complete, already secure. This is how you transform your life from the inside out. By daring to believe, by persisting in the assumption, by letting the feeling of already having fill you so fully that there is no room left for doubt or lack. And in this silent, powerful way, your world inevitably changes to reflect the riches you hold within. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let this become the silent axis upon which your entire inner world turns. It is not enough to merely think about what you want, to repeat words in the hope they will somehow take root. You must feel it in the depths of your being. This feeling is not forced, nor is it an anxious excitement. It is a quiet, deep-seated conviction that what you desire is already yours. In this sacred space of inner conviction, you step beyond the realm of wishing and hoping and cross the threshold into the state of having. Here, your desire is not something far off to be chased or earned. It is a present reality that you now live and breathe. You enter this state by first becoming still, withdrawing attention from the outer world, letting its clamorous demands fade into a gentle hush. You turn inward, toward that secret place where all creation begins. Here you craft a scene in your imagination that would naturally unfold if your wish were already fulfilled. You see it vividly with the richness of color, sound, and texture. But most importantly, you feel it. You let yourself bask in the emotional relief and joy of already possessing that which you have longed for. Perhaps it is the soft thrill of a loving embrace, the peaceful satisfaction of financial freedom, the quiet delight of perfect health. Whatever it is, you do not stand outside the scene watching it happen to someone else. You place yourself squarely in the midst of it, experiencing it firsthand. As you assume this feeling, something miraculous begins to stir. Your inner conversations change. Instead of wondering if or when your desire might come, you find yourself mentally responding to life as though it already has. You notice how naturally you start thinking new thoughts, how your self-talk gently shifts. When old fears rise up, they have less power because they now conflict with this deeper sense of possession you are nurturing. You continue to dwell in this feeling day after day, returning to it whenever your mind drifts to lack or worry. This is not a rigid discipline, but a graceful return, like gently steering a boat back on course. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is also a profound act of trust. It means you stop demanding signs from the outer world to prove to you that your assumption is justified. Instead, you allow the feeling itself to be your proof. You let the sweetness of that fulfilled state wash over you, caring more about sustaining this inner joy than checking constantly for results. In doing so, you reverse the usual order. Most people wait for the world to give them reasons to feel happy, secure, or loved. Here, you become the cause. Your feeling creates the condition, not the other way around. This is why it is called living by faith, not blind faith in chance or external forces, but a living, breathing confidence in the creative power of your own inner assumptions. You recognize that your reality springs forth from these invisible seeds you plant and water in consciousness. As you persist in feeling that your desire is already accomplished, you set in motion unseen currents that will, with certainty, draw into your world all that is necessary to give it form. People, circumstances, opportunities will be gently compelled to play their part, often in ways you could never have logically planned. You begin to notice subtle shifts first. Perhaps your body relaxes where it once held tension. Perhaps you walk with a lighter step, or catch yourself smiling for no apparent reason. The old gnawing sense of needing to get or struggle for what you want starts to fade, replaced by a calm, quiet assurance. This is the sign that your assumption is sinking deep, becoming the new foundation of your being. Whenever doubts arise, and they will, you do not fight them aggressively. Instead, you simply return to the feeling. You let it enfold you like a warm blanket. You might close your eyes for a few moments, breathe deeply, and call to mind that scene once more, slipping back into the mood of fulfillment. In this way, you gently but firmly train your inner world to accept this new reality. It is through repetition and emotional acceptance that the assumption hardens into fact. Living in the feeling of your wish fulfilled does not mean you ignore the present moment or fail to act. Instead, your actions become inspired and effortless, flowing from your new inner state. You naturally gravitate toward things that align with your assumed reality. Your conversations subtly change. You may find yourself drawn to different places or people without forcing or strategizing. Everything flows more easily because you are no longer acting out of lack or desperation. You are acting from fullness, from the awareness that you already possess what matters most, the feeling. In this state, you are unhurried. You no longer watch the clock or measure time by how long it is taking for things to appear. You know that the outer must conform to the inner, that your sustained feeling will draw to you all that is required. So you rest in this inner assurance, letting the evidence of things not yet seen be your joy. You wake in the morning and let that feeling greet you. You carry it quietly throughout your day. You lay down at night, still immersed in it, letting it shape your dreams. By assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you dissolve the old patterns of fear and striving. You no longer chase after life, but allow life to flow to you, magnetized by the state you hold within. This is the secret most overlooked. They keep waiting to see something change before they allow themselves to feel differently. But when you dare to reverse this process, to feel first, to rejoice first, to rest in the satisfaction of already having, you unlock a power that shapes worlds. Inwardly, you live in the end. And outwardly, in time, the world will echo back the song you have been singing all along in the depths of your own being. Ignore appearances and persist in your inner conviction. This is perhaps one of the most delicate yet profound aspects of this secret. The senses will tempt you at every turn to abandon your inner knowing. They will parade before you all the reasons why your desire is impossible, too far away, or somehow reserved for someone else. They will show you bank accounts that seem empty, relationships that seem strained, bodies that seem frail, and circumstances that shout lack instead of abundance. But these appearances are shadows. reflections of past beliefs and former assumptions. They are not ultimate reality. They have no creative power of their own. They only echo what you have once assumed to be true. To master this art, you must cultivate a kind of sacred indifference to what your senses report. Not careless, not ignoring practical life, but placing the truth of your imagination above the evidence of the outer world. You understand that what is seen was made by what is not seen, and therefore you anchor your faith not in appearances which are forever changing, but in your inner conviction which molds and shapes these appearances. This inner conviction is a deep, steady assurance, like an unshakable root that runs beneath all surface storms. So when something in the outer world contradicts your assumption, you learn not to react with fear or frustration. You do not let the world dictate your state of being. Instead, you quietly remind yourself that this is merely the residue of old thoughts, a temporary outpicturing of beliefs you have held before. And because you are now entertaining a new assumption, these appearances must eventually fade, to be replaced by the forms that correspond to your new inner state. In this way, you stand firm. You do not waver. You do not plead with life to hurry. You simply persist. This persistence is gentle yet powerful. It is not the tense gripping of someone trying to control outcomes by force. It is more like a serene gardener who knows that once the seed is planted and tender, the harvest is assured. You continue to water your inner state with feeling, imagination, and repetition, trusting the unseen process. Even when nothing seems to change outwardly, you refuse to relinquish your inner conviction. You understand that the process is underway in ways you cannot always observe. The real test of your mastery comes precisely when appearances most strongly contradict your assumption. In these moments, you are given the opportunity to prove to yourself that your faith is real. You choose to respond differently than before. You do not collapse back into old fears. You do not speak words of lack or defeat. Instead, you hold steady. You turn again within, to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You remind yourself that appearances are delayed reflections. They cannot possibly reveal the new state you are nurturing until it has had time to ripen and express itself. This is why you guard your conversations. You avoid speaking of failure or delay. You do not lament to friends or dwell on problems, for you know words are powerful tools of assumption. Each time you give voice to worry, you reinforce the very condition you wish to dissolve. So you choose instead to speak from the new state, to let your words affirm your inner conviction. Even if only silently within your heart, you keep declaring the reality of your fulfilled desire. This discipline is not rigid or joyless. It is born from the profound understanding that your world is always taking shape according to the pattern of your most dominant assumptions. You also become aware of your reactions. The old self might flinch at certain bills, frown at an unreturned message, sigh over a troubling report. But now you catch these reactions. You pause, breathe, and decide again to stand in your conviction. Each time you do this, you strengthen the hold of your new state. You prove to yourself that you are no longer a victim of appearances. You are the cause, not the effect. And little by little, you notice that your inner stability becomes almost unshakable. The things that once would have sent you spiraling into worry or doubt now barely stir the surface of your calm. Persistence in this inner conviction also means you stop looking for constant outer validation. Many sabotage their creative power by continuously checking if something has happened yet. They plant the seed and then dig it up each day to see if it has sprouted. This only delays the manifestation. Instead, you cultivate patience born of certainty. You know that once impressed upon your subconscious through feeling, your assumption must externalize. So you relax. You go about your days with a quiet gladness, carrying the sweetness of your fulfilled desire within you, even when there is not the faintest sign of it outside. In this way, you begin to live in two worlds, and soon find that the unseen becomes more vivid and substantial to you than what is seen. The conviction you hold inside feels more real than the evidence your eyes may try to contradict. And this is the great turning point, for when your inner conviction is stronger than the outer condition must yield. It is law. Life rearranges itself to match the image and feeling you have persistently held. New people, opportunities, and shifts in circumstance appear, often so naturally that they seem like mere coincidence. But you know better. You recognize these as the inevitable outpicturing of your unwavering inner state. So you keep your focus lovingly fixed upon your desired reality. You refuse to let appearances bully you back into doubt. You stand calmly in the midst of any storm, knowing it cannot last against the power of your assumption. Even if appearances grow more contrary for a time, you do not flinch. Sometimes the old must fully break apart before the new can fully emerge. This does not disturb you. You understand the process. You have become the master of your fate by mastering your inner conviction. And as you persist with quiet joy and deep trust, life must eventually reveal on the outside what you have steadfastly claimed within. Use your imagination as the creative force, for it is through this faculty that you craft the unseen into the seen. Imagination is not idle fantasy, nor is it a harmless pastime with no bearing on your actual life. It is the very workshop of creation, the sacred ground where reality is molded before it takes shape in the external world. Every circumstance you encounter, every relationship you experience, every piece of fortune or misfortune that enters your life has its roots first in imagination. Whether you have used this power consciously or allowed it to drift in undirected daydreams, it remains the same mighty force by which all things are brought forth. When you deliberately harness your imagination, you begin to participate knowingly in the creation of your life. You understand that this faculty is divine, that was given not to amuse you with idle pictures, but to transform your world according to the images you most consistently hold. So you turn inward with intention. You take time each day, moments stolen from the rush of the outer world, to withdraw into the secret theater of your mind. Here, you do not simply see images as though watching a distant movie. You enter into the scenes you create. You make them alive by feeling their reality. You touch, taste, hear, and most importantly, feel the truth of these images in your body. Perhaps you imagine yourself living in a new home that thrills you with its beauty and comfort. You walk through its rooms in your mind, running your hands along the walls, feeling the texture beneath your fingertips. You sit in the chair by the window and watch the light dance across the floor. You breathe in the unique scent of this place that belongs to you. Or perhaps you see yourself embraced by someone who loves you deeply. You feel the warmth of their arms, hear the softness of their voice, sense the quiet joy that fills you in their presence. In this act of imaginative creation, you do not observe from a distance. You inhabit the experience fully. This vivid use of imagination is how you impress your desire upon the deeper layers of your being. It is how you plant the seed in the fertile soil of the subconscious, where it must take root and grow. The subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It accepts as true whatever feeling you repeatedly impress upon it. So the more lifelike, rich, and emotionally charged your imaginal acts, the more certainly they imprint themselves upon this inner realm that governs all outward expression. As you continue to engage your imagination in this deliberate way, you begin to notice subtle shifts within yourself. Your moods change. The old restlessness, anxiety, or sense of lack starts to dissolve, replaced by a quiet contentment that seems to come from nowhere. This is the first evidence that your imaginal acts are taking hold. You carry yourself differently, speak differently, think differently. Not through forced effort, but through the natural unfolding of your new inner state. This is why it is said that imagination creates reality. It is not a poetic idea meant to comfort you in difficult times. It is a literal truth of how life operates. What you consistently imagine with feeling must sooner or later harden into fact. The world around you rearranges itself to reflect the scenes you have played out in your mind. People show up, opportunities present themselves, chance encounters occur, all orchestrated by the unseen hand of your imagination, bringing forth what you have persistently accepted as true within. It becomes essential then to watch carefully what you allow yourself to imagine. Many use this power destructively without realizing it. They rehearse arguments, dwell on fearful outcomes, replay past hurts. In doing so, they continue to water seeds of pain and disappointment, which must in time grow into new experiences that mirror these inner dramas. So you learn to discipline your imagination, not by rigid suppression, but by gentle redirection. Whenever you catch yourself entertaining a scene you would not want to see manifested in your life, you do not condemn yourself. Instead, you turn your mind toward the scenes that bring you joy, peace, and fulfillment. You practice this redirection over and over until it becomes a graceful habit. You begin to spend more time in your imagined end than in thoughts of lack or fear. And gradually, this new inner landscape becomes so real, so familiar, that it feels more natural than the old patterns of worry or disappointment. This is the state from which true creation flows. When your imagined scenes are no longer just hopeful pictures, but feel like your actual reality, the outer world has no choice but to mirror them. It is law. In this way, your imagination becomes your refuge in your power. Whenever life seems to contradict your desire, you do not react in panic. You simply return to your inner sanctuary, to the scenes that comfort and inspire you. You replay them, feel them, lose yourself in them, knowing that this inner experience is the true cause. You realize that the outer world is but a delayed echo, a shadow play following faithfully after the vibrant reality you have already constructed in your imagination. Inside, and so you make it your joyful practice to imagine only that which you wish to see made real. You let your nights be filled with beautiful inner dramas. As you drift to sleep, you allow your mind to sink into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, knowing that in these quiet moments before sleep, your subconscious is most receptive. You saturate it with the feeling of your dream come true, trusting that it is being planted deep, where no effort of yours can reach, and where it will grow of its own accord. Over time, this way of living becomes effortless. You naturally turn to imagination first, knowing that it is the fountain from which all life flows. You no longer look to the outer world for confirmation. Instead, you create within and patiently watch as the world catches up. You understand that imagination is not merely an escape from reality, but the very power by which reality is shaped. It is your greatest gift, your silent companion, your unfailing ally. Through it, you can bring forth beauty, love, abundance, health, anything your heart can sincerely accept. And so you continue, day by day, moment by moment, to use your imagination as the sacred instrument it was always meant to be. Speak, think, and act from the state of already having. Let this become your silent creed, your hidden law of being. To truly live as if you have everything, you must allow your words, your thoughts, and your daily behaviors to flow naturally from the conviction that your desire is already an accomplished fact. This is not about putting on an artificial show for the world or pretending in some shallow way to be what you are not. It's about embodying, in a quiet, sincere manner, the inner state of fulfillment so completely that it spills over into every facet of your life without strain or effort. When you speak, listen to the tone and substance of your words. Are they soaked in lack, or do they reflect the calm assurance of one who already possesses all that they desire? Many, without realizing it, sabotage their inner work by constantly confessing worry, disappointment, or defeat. They say things like, "I hope it happens someday," or "Nothing ever seems to work out for me," or "I'm still waiting for my breakthrough." And in doing so, they proclaim to the world, and more importantly to their own subconscious, that their wish is still distant, still unrealized. But when you truly dwell in the state of already having, your words naturally change. You speak from completion, not from longing. You find yourself expressing gratitude more than complaint, describing possibilities with a tone of certainty rather than doubt. Even your casual remarks carry a subtle undertone of satisfaction and calm expectancy, as though your desired life is already underway and simply unfolding more clearly each day. Likewise, your thoughts begin to reorganize themselves around this new center, where once your mind might have cycled through anxious scenarios, rehearsing what might go wrong or worrying over obstacles, it now settles more easily into peaceful imaginings of things working out in delightful ways. You might catch yourself daydreaming, but these are no idle fancies. They are gentle, spontaneous reflections of your new inner conviction. Your thoughts align themselves with the state you have chosen to inhabit. They reinforce your sense of already being the person who has, who is, who enjoys what once seemed so far away. And this inner shift inevitably expresses itself through your actions. You move differently, perhaps with more confidence and ease. You make choices that reflect trust rather than fear. You might find yourself investing in something that supports your dream, speaking up where once you would have stayed silent, or simply carrying yourself with a subtle grace that others notice without quite understanding why. These outward actions are not forced or mechanical. They flow naturally from the new identity you are living within. You are not acting as if, in a shallow sense, trying to imitate success or happiness by mere outward display. Rather, your actions arise from the deep well of your new state of being, because inwardly you know yourself to be secure, prosperous, loved, or healthy. Your behaviors gently align with these truths without conscious effort. When you live in this way, from the state of already having, something beautiful happens. You stop chasing after signs or constantly checking your progress. You no longer behave like someone who is trying to convince themselves or the world that something might happen. Instead, you rest. Your calm demeanor, your thoughtful words, your relaxed decisions all whisper of a profound inner trust. People might sense that you carry a quiet certainty, a kind of peaceful power that does not depend on outer proofs. And life, responding to this unshakable assumption, begins to mirror it back to you in countless unexpected ways. You might notice synchronicities, a chance encounter, an invitation, a sudden shift in a situation that once seemed stuck. You receive these with a kind of serene gratitude, not as shocking surprises, but as natural outflows of the reality you have already accepted within. Even when delays or seeming setbacks appear, you do not crumble. You continue to think, speak, and act from the state of already having, knowing that the outer must eventually conform to the inner picture. This way of being also transforms how you handle difficulties. Instead of reacting with fear or desperation, you respond from the calm foundation of your fulfilled state. You might handle a bill with quiet assurance, speak with kindness, even in challenging conversations, or keep making generous choices without slipping into old habits of worry. Because you are rooted in the conviction that your life is already whole and abundant, temporary appearances of lack do not disturb you. They are recognized as fading echoes of past assumptions, powerless to shape your future unless you grant them that authority again through fear or anxious speech. Speaking, thinking, and acting from the state of already having is not a burdensome discipline. It is a natural unfolding once you have deeply assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It becomes your new normal. Just as someone who knows they are loved effortlessly speaks tenderly of their relationship, or someone secure in their wealth makes decisions without fretting over every penny, you too begin to live from your chosen state with an ease that surprises even you. Over time, this way of living becomes so stable that it feels strange to remember how you once dwelt in anxious longing. Your conversations are colored with a gentle confidence. Your thoughts drift toward hopeful conclusions rather than dark forecasts. Your actions, even the smallest, carry the vibration of someone who already possesses what they once sought. You are no longer trying to become, you are simply being. And from this state of being, everything required to support and reflect your inner reality is quietly drawn into your life. Others may not understand this transformation. They might still measure life by appearances, thinking you are lucky or unusually optimistic, but within, you know the truth. You are living from the end, letting your words, your thoughts, and your every action testify to the unseen reality that is more substantial than anything the outer world can offer. And so you continue gently, consistently, faithfully, thinking, speaking, and acting as one who already has all that their heart has ever desired. In this way, your life becomes a seamless reflection of the inner conviction you have dared to embrace. Trust that your world will inevitably reshape itself. This is not a hopeful guess or a fragile wish, but a profound certainty that grows out of knowing the hidden laws by which life operates. Once you have impressed upon your inner being the feeling of already having, and once you have persisted in living from this state regardless of appearances, the outer world has no choice but to reorganize itself to mirror this inner conviction. It is an unbreakable principle that what is sustained within must, by law, project itself without. This trust is not born from seeing evidence first. It does not rely on small outer signs to prop it up or give it reason to continue. It comes from a deeper understanding that the world you move through is a mirror of your consciousness. It is forever taking the shape of your dominant assumptions, Like water conforming to the contours of a vessel, life flows into the mold of your persistent inner beliefs. So when you have sown new seeds by imagining and feeling your desire as already accomplished, you can rest. You know the process is underway even if you cannot see a single visible sprout. This knowing releases you from the frantic need to monitor or manipulate circumstances. You are freed from chasing after results or pushing against obstacles. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to make things happen by sheer force of will. Instead, you allow the unseen forces you have set in motion to do their silent, perfect work. You understand that life has ways and means beyond your current comprehension. What needs to move will move. Who needs to appear will appear. Doors that once seemed sealed shut will swing open effortlessly because you are aligned inwardly with the state that naturally includes these outcomes. Trust of this nature brings with it a rare serenity. It softens your face, slows your breath, lightens your step. You do not live in restless anticipation, anxiously scanning the horizon for some confirmation that it is working. You carry on with your days, immersed in simple pleasures and responsibilities, all the while anchored in the quiet assurance that everything necessary for the fulfillment of your inner assumption is finding its way to you. If doubts arise, as they sometimes will, you do not wrestle with them or panic. You simply return to your felt conviction. You remind yourself gently that your work is to maintain the inner state, to dwell in the end, and to let the outer world take care of itself. This level of trust also means you become more graceful with timing. You stop measuring your desire by human clocks and calendars. You no longer whisper to yourself, "It should have happened by now," or wonder why it seems delayed. Instead, you realize that there is an unseen wisdom at play, orchestrating countless details beyond your view. You accept that everything unfolds at its appointed hour, neither too soon nor too late, but precisely when the inner and outer conditions are perfectly synchronized. This acceptance brings immense peace. You no longer fret over how long it will take, because the feeling of already having reassures you that it must take place, in form, just as surely as day follows night. As you walk in this trust, you notice how the strain begins to vanish from your efforts. You still take action, still engage with life, still meet your responsibilities, but these actions flow from inspiration rather than desperation. They are joyful, intuitive movements that arise naturally out of your assumed state. You might feel prompted to call someone, to visit a certain place, to pursue a new opportunity, and you follow these impulses lightly, without overanalyzing them. Each step you take is touched by the quiet certainty that life is already aligning itself with your inner conviction. The world around you may still look unchanged for a time. Others might continue to see the old patterns and remark upon them, but you are unmoved. Your trust does not require outer agreement. You know that the law is unfailing. Persist in the assumption that your desire is already a fact and the world must conform. It is not a question of if, but only of when. And even the when loses its anxious edge, because you are so immersed in the satisfaction of already being, already having, already living from the end. This unwavering trust transforms how you respond to temporary appearances that seem contrary. If an unexpected bill arrives, if someone speaks doubt into your dream, if circumstances momentarily appear to tighten rather than loosen, you meet these with calm understanding. You recognize them as echoes of old beliefs still playing out on the screen of life. You know they have no real power to derail your new reality, unless you grant them that power by emotionally accepting them. So you let them pass, as one might watch clouds drift across an otherwise clear sky, and you return inward to your true state. Each time you do this, your trust deepens and your inner foundation grows stronger. Others may marvel at your calm or wonder why you seem so peaceful in situations that would once have thrown you into turmoil. They may attribute it to luck or natural temperament, but you know it is the fruit of your conscious decision to trust the unseen process. You have made the inner world your dwelling place, and from this hidden sanctuary, you watch as the outer slowly bends to match the new blueprint you have impressed upon it. And this kind of trust also allows you to celebrate before the evidence arrives. You find yourself smiling at small things, giving thanks in advance, feeling genuine joy over realities that to the outer eye are still invisible. This is not foolishness, it is supreme wisdom. You are living in alignment with the higher law that states your inner acceptance is the cause and the outer manifestation is merely the inevitable effect. So you keep nurturing this trust, not with strained effort, but with gentle remembrance. Each day, you return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You savor it, dwell in it, let it color your thoughts and moods. You keep reminding yourself that just as surely as a planted seed will break through the soil when the time is right, so too will your sustained assumption blossom into visible reality. And in this way, your entire world slowly, beautifully reshapes itself to reflect the rich, fulfilled state you have dared to accept within. Return to the feeling whenever doubt arises. Make this your gentle practice, your quiet discipline, your sacred refuge. For even the most steadfast mind can waver, and the most confident heart can momentarily slip back into old familiar fears. This is not failure, it is simply the residue of past conditioning trying to reassert itself. You may have spent years, even decades, dwelling in worry, entertaining thoughts of lack, rehearsing scenes of disappointment, so it is only natural that these old patterns may still try to surface as you create your new inner reality. When they do, you do not scold yourself or panic. You simply notice, breathe, and return. Returning to the feeling is an act of supreme kindness toward yourself. It is how you re-anchor in the state of already having, how you water the seeds you have planted in the rich soil of your imagination. Each time you catch yourself drifting into fear or doubt, you gently guide your awareness back to the mood of your wish fulfilled. You close your eyes if you can. Take a slow breath and recall the vivid inner scenes you have crafted. You let yourself feel once again what it is like to already possess the thing you desire. You hear the words that would be spoken, sense the ease that would fill your body, taste the sweetness of dreams made real. You allow these feelings to rise up naturally without strain until they soothe the anxious ripples in your mind. By doing this, you train your consciousness to return more quickly and easily to the chosen state. At first, it might take deliberate effort. Your old habits of thought may still hold a certain momentum. They may pull at you, tempting you to dwell in problems, to rehearse past hurts, to speculate fearfully about the future. But each time you notice, you stop feeding them with your emotional energy. You say to yourself quietly, no, this is not where I live anymore. And you bring your attention back to the feeling of fulfillment. Over time, this practice becomes more fluid. Like strengthening a muscle through repeated use, your ability to shift into the state of already having grows stronger. You become quicker to notice when you have slipped into old patterns and more graceful at guiding yourself back. Eventually, the new feeling becomes so familiar, so deeply rooted, that returning to it is like slipping into a well-worn, comfortable chair. It welcomes you, it restores you, it reminds you of who you truly are and what you've already claimed as yours. This gentle returning is also a profound declaration of trust. Each time you choose to come back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you affirm that this inner state matters more than passing appearances. You show your subconscious mind that you are serious about this new assumption, that you will not be swayed by temporary conditions or stray thoughts. You demonstrate again and again that you are committed to living from the end, regardless of what the outer world may presently display. Returning to the feeling does not mean forcing yourself into some artificial state of joy. It is not about chanting hollow affirmations when your heart is unsettled. It is about quietly, sincerely inviting yourself back into the mood of already being, already having. Sometimes this may be subtle. A simple inward nod, a soft sense of relief, a tiny smile as you remember that what you seek is already yours in the unseen. Other times, it may be more vivid, as you close your eyes and lose yourself for a few moments in a rich, imaginal scene that lifts your spirits and settles your mind. This practice also teaches you compassion toward yourself. You stop judging the human tendency to wobble. You understand that transformation is a process, that old neural pathways do not vanish overnight. Each gentle return to the feeling is like brushing your hand across the surface of water, smoothing out the ripples until it is calm again. There is no need to berate yourself for having doubts. Doubt loses its power not through forceful resistance, but through being quietly replaced by a stronger, sweeter feeling of certainty. You may discover that these moments of return become some of the most precious parts of your day. In the midst of busy tasks, a sudden concern might tug at your mind, and you pause, take a breath, and let the feeling of fulfillment wash through you once more. In that brief moment, you are refreshed. Your inner state is renewed. You continue on, moving through your world, now aligned again with your chosen reality. And with each return, something shifts a little more permanently within you. The new state begins to take precedence over the old by simple accumulation. Like adding drop after drop of clear water into a cloudy glass, eventually the old muddiness is replaced by purity. Your dominant mood becomes one of quiet satisfaction, a subtle joy that does not depend on external validation. You find yourself smiling more, worrying less, responding with greater ease even to unexpected challenges. Without realizing it, you are living more and more consistently in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This is the power of gently returning again and again. It builds a sanctuary within you that cannot be shaken by temporary appearances. It creates a strong, stable vibration that must, by the unfailing laws of consciousness, attract to you experiences and conditions that match your inner world. Each time you come back to the feeling, you deepen the grooves of this new pattern. You teach your subconscious that this is your true home, the state to which you always belong. Eventually, returning becomes less about correcting slips and more about simply delighting in the feeling itself. You find yourself savoring these moments, perhaps as you lie in bed at night or as you walk through a sunlit street, or even standing in line at a store. You quietly sink into the mood of fulfillment, letting it fill your heart, your mind, your body, and in doing so you continue to impress upon the unseen the clear blueprint of what must come to pass. Without strain, without rush, without desperate longing, you nurture the reality of your wish, already fulfilled. This is how you turn fleeting moments of inner joy into a sustained way of being. By returning over and over, gently, patiently, lovingly, you anchor yourself so deeply in this new state that it eventually becomes the very air you breathe. And then, quite naturally, the outer world rearranges itself to mirror the beauty, the richness, and the completeness that you have chosen to dwell in all along. Understand, the outer world is only a mirror. This realization changes everything. It shifts the entire weight of power and responsibility from circumstances, people, and events back to where it has always truly belonged, within you. When you begin to see that the conditions of your life are simply reflections of your inner state, you stop trying to fix or manipulate the mirror. You recognize that the images on the glass only echo what you are holding inside. Trying to change them directly, without first adjusting your own consciousness, is like frowning into a mirror hoping it will smile back. The outer has no power of its own. It cannot act independently. It is forever compelled to reflect the convictions and assumptions you most consistently carry within. This is why your sustained inner state is so important. It becomes the pattern, the blueprint, the hidden script that life faithfully enacts on the stage of your experience. Every time you look around at your circumstances and see conditions that displease or discourage you, you are being offered a profound gift. A clear, honest picture of what you have been entertaining in consciousness. It may not always be obvious. Often these reflections come from deeply rooted beliefs, formed long ago, perhaps even unconsciously. But they are there, providing you a direct glimpse into your habitual assumptions. Many resist this idea at first because it seems to place too much responsibility on their shoulders. It is easier to believe that things just happen, that luck or fate decides outcomes, that other people are the cause of our distress. But to cling to such notions is to remain powerless, forever at the mercy of external forces. Once you accept that the outer world is only a mirror, you step into the incredible realization that by changing what you consistently hold within, you inevitably change what is reflected back to you. You become the true cause, the silent artist, shaping the canvas of your life. This understanding is not meant to burden you with guilt for past conditions. Quite the opposite, it frees you. You see that there is no enduring reality outside of what you assume to be true. If your life right now contains unwanted elements, you do not have to wage war against them or figure out how to force them to change. You simply withdraw your attention and emotional energy from them and place it instead on the inner state that matches your desire. You turn away from appearances, not with denial, but with a calm certainty that the outer is only the delayed echo of the inner. As you persist in your new assumption, the mirror must eventually adjust to reflect it. This is why it is so important to guard your mental conversations, your dominant moods, and your inner dialogue. These are the seeds you are planting in the rich soil of your subconscious. They may not sprout instantly, but in time they must push through the surface and appear as the facts of your life. If you constantly dwell on thoughts of limitation, resentment, or fear, you are cultivating a garden that can only yield more of the same. If you nurture feelings of abundance, love, health, and joy, even when nothing yet appears to justify them, you are preparing a harvest that must come forth in due season. As you truly absorb this, you become less reactive to the conditions around you. If something unwelcome appears, you do not give it power by engaging it with strong negative emotion. You see it for what it is, a mirror reflecting some prior inner state, and you calmly decide what you wish to see instead. You then turn your attention inward to occupy that state. This does not mean you ignore practical steps. You still handle life wisely and responsibly. But inwardly, your focus remains on the feeling of already being the person you wish to be, of already having what your heart desires. With this shift in perspective, daily life transforms into a kind of living meditation. Each encounter, each piece of news, each circumstance becomes a message from the mirror. It shows you where you stand in consciousness. If it pleases you, you continue nurturing the thoughts and feelings that created it. If it does not, you know exactly what to do. Adjust your inner state. Over and over, gently, persistently, you return to the mood of your wish fulfilled. You cultivate it as your home, your emotional dwelling place. Gradually, you find yourself less interested in blaming others or resenting situations. Those habits fade because they make no sense in light of this new understanding. Why waste energy railing against a reflection? You know the real work happens within. So you become a quiet master of your inner world. You pay more attention to what you are imagining when your mind wanders, to the feelings that accompany your daydreams, to the silent words you repeat to yourself. You take charge of these, not through harsh discipline, but through gentle awareness and redirection. And as you continue, the outer world begins to shift. New opportunities appear. Relationships soften or improve. Financial avenues open. Health strengthens. At first, these changes may seem subtle, even coincidental, but over time they become unmistakable patterns. Clear evidence that the mirror is responding to the new image you hold within. You experience firsthand that circumstances are not causes but effects. They are clay molded by the unseen hands of your assumptions. This does not mean the outer world becomes perfect or free of all challenges. Life continues to move, to flow, to surprise. But you meet it now from an entirely different position. You understand that if something displeasing arises, you are not at its mercy. You can always return inward, adjust your feeling, and trust the law to bring forth a new reflection in time. This brings a profound sense of calm and a quiet confidence that is unshakable. You no longer feel the need to argue with reality or force situations. Instead, you use the creative power within you, your imagination, your feelings, your assumptions, to shape the only thing that truly matters, your inner state. And as this inner state stabilizes in the assumption of already having, already being, already living your deepest desires, the mirror of life must, by its very nature, catch up and reflect that back to you in ways often so natural, so perfectly timed, that they seem miraculous. Living this way, you find a freedom and power that nothing in the outer world can ever give you, because it was never out there to begin with. It has always been within, quietly waiting for you to recognize that life is your mirror, faithfully revealing the secret beliefs you hold most consistently. When you understand this, you become the conscious artist of your reality, painting your days with the colors of your chosen inner world, knowing with serene certainty that the reflection must come. And when it does, it will only be echoing the beauty, the love, the abundance you first dared to claim inside. Stay loyal to your unseen reality no matter what happens outside. This is one of the most subtle yet powerful practices you will ever undertake, for it demands that you hold steadfast to an invisible conviction, even while the outer world may tempt you at every turn to abandon it. Loyalty to your inner state is the great secret by which the unseen is finally made visible. It is the quiet, determined faith that persists in feeling and knowing your desire is already fulfilled, even if all appearances contradict it. This is when your loyalty is tested, not loyalty to circumstances, but loyalty to the reality you have claimed within yourself. Staying loyal means you do not let the outer dictate your inner state. You do not abandon the feeling of already having simply because the evidence has not yet appeared. You understand that the outer world is a delayed reflection. It is showing you the echo of past assumptions, not the new state you have recently begun to occupy. If you waver now, if you fall back into old feelings of lack or fear, you only delay the arrival of your desire. But if you stand firm, maintaining your inner conviction calmly and persistently, the outer must eventually conform. It is law. This loyalty is not grim or desperate. It is a serene allegiance to your chosen state. You return again and again to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, not out of anxious repetition, but out of deep trust. You know that what you accept as true within must sooner or later externalize. So you keep your emotional allegiance tied to the unseen, to the rich inner world you have cultivated through imagination and feeling. You refuse to let circumstances pull you back into the old self. Such loyalty transforms how you respond to daily life. If someone questions your dream or mocks your efforts, you do not feel the need to argue or defend yourself. You understand they are only seeing the outer surface of things, unaware of the profound changes taking place within you. You smile inwardly, knowing that life mirrors consciousness, not skepticism. You quietly continue to dwell in your inner conviction, letting your faith be stronger than the doubts of others. Even when you receive disappointing news, you no longer collapse into despair. Instead, you gently remind yourself that this is just a remnant of your former state. It has no power to dictate your future unless you emotionally accept it. So you acknowledge it, bless it, and then return to the feeling of already being the person you desire to be. This is not denial of reality. It is the deliberate creation of a new reality by staying true to your inner vision. Loyalty to your unseen reality also means you guard against self-sabotage through careless words or thoughts. You no longer casually speak of how things are not working out or how long you have been waiting. You recognize that every word is an affirmation, every thought a seed planted in the fertile ground of your subconscious. So you choose words that support your inner assumption. You think thoughts that align with your fulfilled state, even in small daily conversations. You steer away from reinforcing the old story. This unwavering loyalty brings about a subtle shift in your vibration. People may notice that you seem calmer, more assured, even if they cannot understand why. You carry yourself differently. There is a quiet lightness about you, a sense of knowing that does not depend on current facts. And as you hold to this inner knowing, circumstances slowly, often imperceptibly at first, begin to rearrange themselves. What was once stuck starts to move. What seemed far away draws nearer. Opportunities come through channels you could never have planned. All because you remained loyal to your inner reality instead of surrendering to outer appearances. There is a kind of grace that begins to permeate your life. You are no longer buffeted by every passing condition. You stand anchored in the unseen, knowing it is more real and more causative than anything that can be touched or measured. You stop seeking constant signs or proofs. You do not need them. The feeling within is enough. It sustains you, nourishes you, and eventually must break forth into tangible form. This loyalty also teaches you patience of a very special kind. It is not passive waiting, hoping something might happen. It is an active, living trust that what you have accepted within is already yours, merely making its way into visible expression. This patience is free of anxious urgency. It allows you to continue enjoying your life now, to find beauty and satisfaction in simple moments, even as you know that bigger fulfillments are on their inevitable path to you. By staying loyal to your unseen reality, you become the embodiment of your desire before it ever appears. You live from it, think from it, act from it. You find yourself making small choices that align with this new state, sometimes without even realizing it. These choices accumulate, creating bridges of incident that connect you effortlessly to the life you have imagined. And so you continue, day by day, returning to the inner feeling, nurturing it, dwelling in it, speaking from it. You do this not because you are forcing results, but because it is now your natural home. The unseen reality feels more authentic to you than the transient circumstances of the outer world. And as you remain steadfast, loyal to this inner world, the outer must finally yield. It must rearrange itself to reflect the conviction you have held so faithfully within. In your reflection, in this way, loyalty to your unseen reality becomes the quiet power that shapes your destiny, guiding your life gently and surely toward the fulfillment of all you have dared to claim within the sacred depths of your own consciousness. Persist gently until it feels natural. This is perhaps the most tender instruction of all, for it asks you not to force or strain, but to allow your new inner state to take root in a soft, organic way. When you first begin to live from the feeling of already having what you desire, it may feel unfamiliar, even awkward. Like wearing a new pair of shoes that still need to shape to your feet, this state might not yet fit you comfortably. Old patterns of thought and feeling may pull at you, trying to bring you back into the known territory of lack, worry, or yearning. This is why gentle persistence is so vital. You do not berate yourself when you slip into old ways of thinking. You do not scold yourself for momentary doubts. Instead, you treat your consciousness like fertile soil that must be patiently tended. Each time you return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are sowing another seed, watering the tender shoots that are beginning to emerge. You nurture this new state with calm repetition, knowing that what you feed with your attention and emotion will grow. At first, your imaginal acts and inner conversations might feel like pleasant daydreams, somewhat detached from reality. You may find yourself thinking, I enjoy these moments of imagining, but life out here is still the same. Do not let this trouble you. Understand that this is only because your new assumption is still gathering substance, still impressing itself upon the deeper layers of your being. The outer world takes time to rearrange itself around a new inner blueprint. This is not delay, it is simply the natural process by which consciousness solidifies into form. So you persist gently, kindly, without impatience. You keep returning to the feeling of already being, already having, already living your desired reality. You practice it the way one might softly hum a favorite tune throughout the day, not with effort or strain, but because it brings pleasure and feels good to dwell there. Over time, these inner acts become more vivid, more textured, more real. You begin to notice that they no longer feel like mere fantasies. They start to feel like home. As this happens, your entire being starts to adjust. Your subconscious mind, always listening, begins to accept this new state as the truth about you. Old habits of thought lose their grip, replaced by a quiet, steady undercurrent of fulfillment. You might find yourself waking in the morning already feeling different, as if some unseen shift has occurred overnight. Or you might catch yourself responding to situations in ways that surprise you, choosing calm where you once chose worry, feeling confident where you once felt insecure. These are signs that your new state is becoming natural, that you are moving from deliberate practice into effortless being. This is the true goal, to persist until it feels so natural that you no longer have to remind yourself to return to the feeling. You simply dwell there, automatically, because it has become who you are. The imaginal scenes you once rehearsed now feel less like hopeful scripts and more like memories, real lived experiences that are quietly working their way into visible expression. Along the way, it is important to keep your persistence soft, never rigid or anxious. Force only betrays fear. If you find yourself obsessively repeating imaginal acts or clinging desperately to mental pictures, take this as a gentle signal to relax. Remember that your power lies in feeling, not in frantic repetition. A single deeply felt moment of living in the end can do more than hours of strained mental effort. Let your practice be infused with ease, with the sweet confidence of one who knows that what is accepted within must eventually show itself without. You may also discover that persistence becomes easier when you connect it to joy. Instead of treating it like a grim duty, something you must keep doing so that results will come, approach it as a form of secret delight. Your imagination is your private playground, your hidden sanctuary where you can savor your desire fully realized, without limits or barriers. Each time you enter this space, you are feeding your new reality, strengthening its hold on your consciousness. And because it feels so good to dwell there, you naturally want to return again and again. Over time, the need for deliberate practice lessens. What once took conscious effort becomes your default inner climate. You find yourself automatically drifting into thoughts and feelings that match your fulfilled state. Even when challenges arise, you do not panic or feel compelled to fix them from the outside. Instead, you instinctively return to the inner knowing that your world is shaped from within. You trust that by maintaining your new state, life must reorganize itself around it. Eh? In the end, we only trust our knowledge or faith. Eh? So where are we looking for? You trust that by maintaining your new state, life must reorganize itself. This is the quiet miracle of gentle persistence. Without strain, without drama, you build a new inner home. And once this home is fully established in consciousness, the outer world must come to reflect it, just as surely as water fills the shape of any vessel into which it is poured. You do not have to make this happen through personal effort. You only have to continue dwelling in the feeling until it becomes the most natural thing in the world. Others may look at your life later and call it luck or coincidence. They might see the outward changes, new relationships, improved health, increased abundance, and never understand the invisible work that made it all possible. But you will know. You will know that it was your quiet, persistent loyalty to an unseen reality, your willingness to keep feeling the wish fulfilled, even in the face of contrary appearances, that slowly but inevitably brought about the transformation. So you continue. Softly, patiently, with an open heart, you keep returning to the feeling of your desire already accomplished, not because you are trying to force it into being, but because it is sweet to dwell there. And by this very gentleness, this natural, persistent inhabiting of your chosen state, you watch as life begins to echo your inner reality with a beauty and perfection that often takes your breath away. Remain grateful and receptive as it unfolds. This is a gentle, profound way of being that ensures the deepest alignment with the life you have chosen within. Gratitude is far more than polite words or social gestures. It is an inner posture, a living vibration that declares to life, I already possess all that I desire, and I welcome even more of it with an open heart. When you remain in gratitude, you rest in the certainty that your assumption is already accomplished in the unseen, and you allow its manifestation to flow into your experience without resistance or impatience. Many approach the creative power of consciousness with hidden tension. They may imagine their desire and live in the feeling of it for a while, but underneath still question whether it will really happen. They watch their outer world anxiously, searching for proof, and when it does not appear quickly enough, they slip into a discouragement. But gratitude sweeps all of this away. Gratitude says, I know it is already done. I feel so thankful, so content, because my inner world is rich and fulfilled, and I trust the outer to catch up in its own perfect time. This is not a hollow ritual, but a genuine state of heart that transforms your entire vibration. You cultivate this by quietly appreciating your desire as if it were already fully present. You walk through your day with an undercurrent of thankful expectancy, savoring the beauty of small moments while knowing that even greater manifestations are unfolding for you. You do not beg or plead with life. You do not check constantly to see if it is working. Instead, you celebrate inwardly. You give thanks for your imagination, for your ability to create and dwell in unseen realities, for the sure knowledge that what you accept within must become visible without. Gratitude also softens your relationship to time. You stop measuring how long it takes for your desire to appear. You do not live with a stopwatch pressed against your heart. anxious that days or weeks have passed without visible change. Gratitude places you beyond the tyranny of time because in feeling thankful now, you inhabit the end now. You live from the reality that it is already yours, which is the very cause that guarantees its eventual expression in your world. And so you become receptive. You allow life to bring your desire through any channel it chooses. You do not insist on how it must come, or through whom, or by what specific means. You trust that the same intelligence that gave you the desire knows exactly how to fulfill it in ways you might never have imagined. Your gratitude keeps you open, your hands unclenched, your heart unguarded, so that you can receive the gifts life sends without blocking them through rigidity or doubt. This receptivity becomes a beautiful way to move through your days. You start to notice small winks from life, tiny serendipities, unexpected kindnesses, resources flowing to you just when needed. Instead of brushing these off as mere coincidence, you receive them with a smile, recognizing them as part of the gentle unfolding of your assumption into form. Each time you accept these with gratitude, you reinforce the state of already having, and so even more must come. Gratitude also protects you from slipping back into lack. When challenges appear or delays seem to stretch out, gratitude anchors you in a different reality. Instead of saying, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" or "Maybe it's not going to work," you quietly affirm, "Thank you that it is already mine. Thank you that even this moment, which might look imperfect on the surface, is part of the perfect process by which my desire becomes visible." In this way, gratitude becomes an unshakable refuge. It allows you to keep your state pure, untainted by fear or disappointment, or puts on a mask in order to suit or modernize. Being receptive means you do not close off possibilities by trying to control outcomes. Sometimes people imagine their desires so rigidly that they miss the unexpected door opening right beside them. Life is infinitely wise and often surprises us with routes and methods far beyond what our conscious minds could devise. When you live in gratitude and openness, you give life permission to delight you. You trust that whatever comes, it is either the fulfillment itself or a step perfectly preparing the way. This way of living also keeps your inner world vibrant and alive. Instead of stagnating in routine complaints or habitual judgments, you find yourself constantly noticing things to appreciate. A cool breeze, a warm smile, a sudden insight. Each becomes a reason to feel rich and blessed. This daily habit of thankfulness sustains your vibration in harmony with your fulfilled state. It gently repels worry and fear because they cannot share the same space with genuine gratitude. Through this, your very presence begins to change. Others may sense a lightness about you, a quiet joy that needs no outer justification. They may feel more at ease in your company without knowing why. And often, this inner atmosphere of gratitude and receptivity draws even more goodness toward you. People respond to the energy you carry. Opportunities seem to find you. Doors open because you are walking through life aligned with the vibration of already being satisfied. As this continues, your trust deepens. You see that there is no need to struggle or strive, no need to endlessly petition life. Your only real work is to maintain the state of already having through feeling, imagination, gentle persistence, and above all, gratitude. You watch the world rearrange itself around your inner assumptions, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, but always in perfect correspondence to the reality you have claimed within. And so you keep your heart soft, your mind thankful, your hands open. You go about your daily tasks with a quiet sense of expectancy, not chasing after signs, but knowing that your new reality is steadily taking shape. You welcome each small evidence of alignment with appreciation, and you continue to feel thankful, even in moments when nothing yet appears to have changed. In this way, you remain a willing, joyful receiver of all the richness life is preparing to pour into your experience. You stay rooted in the invisible truth of your fulfilled desire, letting your gratitude and openness be the gentle forces that draw your vision effortlessly from the unseen into the seen. So let this be the unwavering truth you carry forward. Your inner world is the birthplace of every reality you will ever know. Dare to live as if you already possess everything your heart longs for. Let your imagination paint it in colors so vivid that your very soul feels the joy of its fulfillment now. Trust that what you consistently accept within must, by the sacred law of life, appear without. Stay loyal to this unseen reality with quiet strength. Nurture it with gentle persistence, and protect it with gratitude that flows like a song through your days. Refuse to let temporary appearances shake you. Stand firm in your conviction that life mirrors your deepest assumptions. When you live from the end, when you walk each moment steeped in the feeling of already being the person you wish to be, you call forth a world that cannot help but match your inner state. This is your divine privilege, your immense power to shape your destiny from within, and watch as the universe, with infinite wisdom and flawless timing, rearranges itself to reflect the truth you have dared to embrace.